And welcome back to the studio as now the entire world can see that we put minions in the fridge. Something maybe TL wish they had did against FlyQuest. But that's just
I just had one in the bank.
What? That was a straight out of nowhere. I thought we were going to roast G2.
It's not out of nowhere because TL is playing next.
That is true.
Yeah, you know what? Smart.
A stretch a bit. But yeah, they're going to take on Weibo here in our fourth game of the day. And I want to put things in perspective here because when you consider the first game of the day and the way Team Liquid played yesterday, especially in the early game, not that bad.
Not that
Great
bad.
start from them.
Not that bad, but just reading the comments from TL fans, man, we're just getting some hard opponents. It's tough. And just how the games were played out, as you can see from APA in the early portions of that game, was good. In fact, if you heard from APA in his interview with Travis Gafford, he talked about how the game state was actually quite good for them. They were really happy with how the macro elements were working out. They just weren't team fighting well, and that's really frustrating because if you just watch their domestic play, that's something that they were able to hit consistently. I feel like the team fighting is not something that you're worried about, but it happened in a game that mattered the most.
And the game quality at Worlds is so high that you cannot afford to make a single mistake, even with a lead, even with a composition where you feel like it's probably going to be pretty straightforward to execute. If you make that single mistake, if you let one of these teams, if you let a team of the caliber of LNG back into the game, you might not get another chance to find a favorable fight.
Exactly, and it happened where you kind of least expected because Nico is the champion that we've seen pretty frequently from APA in the Mage meta. And so finding picks like this where they're able to get a flash off it usually is nice. Of course, the answer back from LNG were usually pretty good. So you want to make the most out of the flashes. That one is a poor fight, of course, but there have been a few of those where they would try for an angle, get a flash from Jin, and then get, you know, they wouldn't lose anything off of it. Or they would try for an angle and then lose a lot off of a misplay, and those were the ones that hurt the most.
And if you fall behind against a composition with Tristana and this Rumble Jin combo, it's just so much harder to fight, right? If you're coming from even, if you can get that vision set up ahead of time, if you're coming in favorable terms, fights are navigatable. But if Rumble and Jin just get to sit 1,000 units away, slow you down, get the follow-up, and you've got a Tristana to do the majority of the damage, it's very unplayable.
Exactly. There was that fight. There was obviously the fail flash fight that happened bot side, but I don't want to focus too much on Team Liquid. Of course, they're the team that has to bounce back. Weibo is another team that also has to bounce back.
And how did they play yesterday? Because they had to face off against Gen.G. Difficult game for them, but very slow-paced as well.
It's almost, honestly, a replica of what we saw in our previous game with G2, where yet another Korean Titan plays a composition that outscales. You had the Maokai and the Smolder there, and we saw what Weibo brought to the table, and they just couldn't compete as we went later in the game. They didn't have reliable engage tools. Crisp had an okay day overall, but you saw desperation as we got later and later, as the Smolder got more and more stacks. Xiaohu's flanking with a TP. They're desperate to get anything done, and I think today they're going to walk away from that thinking, hey, we need tools to start a fight if we are in a position where we are going to get outscaled. Exactly.
They're having meta lessons, but the one player for me that shone was Light. Light had a really good Jinx game, and he was a player that people looked to for Weibo. If they were going to be successful here, it was going to be off of his play.
Let's see what Weibo can do, if they can bounce back, or if Team Liquid can bounce back as well in our fourth game of the day. Casters, take it away.
Well, before we get to the halfway point, it's TL versus Weibo. It's NA versus another LPL team. And after our start, I just take a breath of fresh air and think, where could this one go? Because we didn't expect the last one to be as chaotic as it was, as fun as it was. I mean, some people would come in and be like, you know, BLG, LNG maybe wouldn't have been as good. This one's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, especially since these teams actually have a little bit of history. 2021 groups. Weibo fell to both Mad Lions and Team Liquid to not advance in towards the playoff stage. So now going up against them again, I think there's going to be a bit of a bone to pick. Now, obviously, Weibo did fantastically last year, where they got all the way to the World Finals after that upset win over BLG. So not a team to ever shrug your shoulders at, but a team that has been known to be consistently inconsistent. So after a phenomenal game yesterday against Gen.G, it always remains to be seen what they come in with today, but I have high expectations for Weibo, and especially for Tarzan, to really step up when it comes to Worlds, because he has been so crucial to the success of this team.
He really, really has. And on the other side, I mean, yesterday, there were some burdens of execution, some of the fights that went horribly wrong. Who knows the position that TL could have been in otherwise, but I think, again, LNG were picking them apart and kind of playing, I don't want to say playing with their hands, but they were definitely pulling out some of the better team fights in the end as well. The other thing you can kind of comment on is the fact that, you know, APA wasn't in form. A player that has developed over the course of this year that's been highlighted got destroyed, and it was a rough game.
I mean, one most improved in the LCS, so definitely a player to keep your eyes on. Looked great on a lot of these AD mids, but we even heard Azale talk about it yesterday in the cast that it was kind of going back towards the Nico, which was his pick for the mage meta. So curious to see if he falls back towards that again, or if there's a different cog in the wheelhouse here. Because you know Xiaohu would love to try and get his hands on the Lucian again like he did yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Is very well known for that pick.
AD carry still popping up here in the LPL. It's been Tristanas, it's been Lucian, so no big surprise that LPL is taking some time to adjust or move back towards mages consistently. For now, though, you can see that Ziggs is taken away. Aurora's gone as well. Rumble taken away against TL. All right. Is it just going to be no Ashe first pick? A mage mid as a first pick option here for TL.
Gonna take the Lucian away. So I do like this. I think it's just a respect to Xiaohu. You even saw him yesterday how threatening he was when Tarzan was able to get the Ivern to have that Trellia speed him up, to get a lot of pressure in towards these picks. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Tarzan even just go back towards the Ivern here, and then you take a Smolder, kind of match a lot of the other AD mains, like even a Tristana here would work out very well. Unless you are just considering Yeon and CoreJJ, or just going to go for the Lucian Nami boss. And maybe you're a little curious about trying to go for that, or a little nervous about going for it.
But Skarner instead, I mean, this is something, again, that I was surprised made it to the second ban phase a game or two ago. So, priority jungler, strong 2v2 for Light and Crisp. Very LPL style.
Yeah, especially when you got the Renata for Crisp as well that can go in alongside it. Something that they brought in a couple of times, so not surprised. But I think this gives a lot of control to that bot lane, which is when you see these aggressive picks for Weibo, oftentimes Tarzan puts a ton of focus. So if I'm UmTi, my eyes are now, okay, we're going to go for this aggressive answer with the Lucian Nami. I need to be babysitting this bot lane because you know Tarzan's going to be down there so continuously.
Oh, yeah. He'll spend his time there. Well, just pause on that thought for the time being. If Impact picks top here, it has to be blind, but instead a priority jungle before it gets banned out. So the Sejuani means we might be seeing some more melee laners, maybe things like the Jax again, while Set solidifying that 2v2 on the bot side. Crisp and Light on Kalista and Renata. Dagda, I'm getting throwbacks of two priority lanes, Lucian Nami, Kalista, Renata. Go back in time a bit.
Yeah, but I definitely like the Kalista Renata just because you can get so aggressive in these early stages. Having the bailout as well means you can stock up a lot of those extra Ren stacks and really take the fight to Yeon and CoreJJ. But again, I think it's now going to be a focus of how do we try and get mid control to enable that pressure down onto the bottom side of the map. And that's where Xiaohu, I think we will see him go back towards a lot of these AD mids that he's found comfort on. Yes, the Yone's gone, the Lucian's taken away, but Tristana, still another big pick for him, or at least something that he can have access to the wave state on. Maybe even going back towards something like an Ari wouldn't be the worst thing here for Xiaohu.
Oh yeah, actually. Playing a bit more solidly through mid. Rather, I'm not sure where Mill is, different position.
The only thing I'd be worried about with going for an Ari is you probably have very low damage threat in the fight.
Yep.
So maybe we shift off towards something like the Orianna, or the LeBlanc could be taken away, but I think you do want something that has some scaling in it. Maybe that's a Jax for Breathe in that top side and kind of use him as your late game insurance, but we'll have to see what Weibo's thinking.
Xiaohu Orianna hasn't been the worst in the past couple of years. I think Xiaohu Orianna are a solid pick as well historically, if you know this player from old RNG days. So that's always an option here. LeBlanc taken off the board by TL. They're getting rid of some of that mid-jungle threat. LeBlanc's been popping up, and Poppy, okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Top lane pick.
Yeah, especially when you got the Kalista, Poppy just neutralizes her so well.
Yep.
And as we said, chances are you're setting up for a Jax play here for Weibo on that top side. Not having that Poppy that can go in towards Impact is going to be really, really nice. So I think overall Weibo setting up their draft relatively well, but TL are definitely going to be able to read this, and I am curious what Impact is going to bring out into that top side. He's a mega tank player and is incredibly good at neutralizing matchups. And I think against Breathe, he can actually have a good time if he wants to go back towards something like an Ornn or even like a Renekton or something along these lines. But they're actually going to ban the Jax as well, so not going to be able to get that for Breathe. So does he pivot to a Kennen, something along these lines, or even just take that Renekton for himself now?
And pivot into the counter matchup, assuming that Impact might pick up the Renekton. I like the thinking, Dagda. LPL's always been one to pull it out, but I was talking about this before. Xiaohu on Orianna. So we get a good skirmishing, good team fighting comp so far built by Weibo. Counter pick for Breathe is going to be the angle.
I think they're hoping Impact does take a tank, and then Breathe can go towards the Camille, which is the only way that I kind of see them trying to opt in towards that, where you kind of get that big threat. Breathe was great on it in the past, but we'll have to see if Impact kind of takes the bait here. But when you've already seen, you know, the blind pick champions that are available, you're starting to tend down that list, but I think you kind of have to go for some sort of tank player here.
Okay, as you said, top is really the focus. At least we get the counter matchup for APA in mid, so mid jungle's going to get even more interesting. Impact has to show his hands. As you said, maybe a tank. We've had things like the Scion from Weibo. What can absorb pressure up here without the Cassante? Renekton, but Breathe does play cannon, as you said. This could be dangerous. Gnar is another option as well that can go safely or well into the Renekton.
I think Gnar is fine, yeah, so Breeze's going to be able to get push in that top side and start look to take these turret plates and accelerate the game through that side of the map. You've got Kalista, Renata that Tarzan is going to heavily play for in this bottom side of the map as well, try and set up for plays there. And then Xiaohu, you can have an okay time against the Syndra. It is very much a, can I dodge away from a lot of these early orbs that the Syndra's going to turn out? Yeah. Go for that early Merc threads as well to try and alleviate some of that pressure, but it's still slightly Syndra favored in this match.
And even though we got Syndra, who's now got more scaling, thanks to the splinters that gives her a lot more damage, or I already said the word scaling for AP, Dagda, it feels like TL are putting all their cards on the line for the mid game here, all their cards into a lot of skirmishing early on, getting these solo laners built up. I feel like for Weibo as well, because of that bottom lane, there is going to be a lot of action in this early game, right?
Yeah, this early game is all hands on deck.
Kill.
Like, you need to start getting these lanes out to start strong leads, otherwise you just lose pace. Especially when you look towards like the Orianna, who will be able to come on very strong at the later portion of the game. My eyes are firmly on Tarzan and UmTi to see who can take over, because if you can control Tarzan, UmTi, I think you're in a good spot to try and play through what is a relatively strong mid jungle with a ton of CC that enables a Lucian culling come that mid game. On the opposite side, I think if Tarzan is able to get light and crisp ahead, they become so threatening around these early objective fights and start to snowball the game so drastically. And next, it's your Orianna who just comes online.
Redemption for yesterday for TL, though, if they can find early access in this game, Dagda. Yesterday, they failed. It felt like they were nervous. It felt like they were not the TL that we were hyping up coming in, and they failed against LNG when they had options after the early game. This pause shows me that we get to take a breath because of what's happened so far.
I do think, though, it was LNG yesterday playing well around what are the expected tropes of TL. So often you see them go for these big aggressive plays in the early stages. A lot of that actually coming from APA on things like the Talia, where he looks for roams, or having these sort of plays early to control those side lanes incredibly well. Then you look for picks. Push mid, get vision, find a pick, close out the game.
Yep.
LNG kind of read that, answered for a lot of that pick potential at the 16-minute mark as TL went to try and make that play, and they were able to bounce back into the game. So I think for Weibo, it'll be another case of trying to, one, find that early success, but two, also be aware that this is something that will be coming through the TL playbook.
I think as well, Weibo's ability to adapt. I mean, just looking at yesterday, the adaptation to the Gen G game was really good. It was a close game. And while people look at that as, oh, Gen G opened up strong because they were able to stall the game, I mean, Weibo were quite reactive, played smart as well to that mid-game of Gen G. As I hear game sounds, which means we're about to get in. So pause was only slightly. Let's get into it. Game number 4 of the day, TL versus Weibo, looking for their first win at Worlds 2024. And this would mean a lot for North America after TL's shaky start yesterday.
But I do want to hit on the point that you made for Weibo, because yesterday was actually very surprising for me. Weibo came out with a CS lead in top, mid, and bot lane in that game. It was the first time in the entirety of summer that Gen G actually came out with a CS lead in all those lanes. And I think a huge portion of that was Weibo matching a lot of the good macro from Gen G in the early stages, finding these minuscule advantages and then being able to bring them online. Now, Gen G did eventually win out the game with some great late game plays, but that early to mid game was a really good response from Weibo, and I think that again is what I want to see from them coming into this, a confident early game that snowballs into a win.
And I think it comes a lot of the back off of like the individual laning from Light and Crisp is where I'll start, and I know it's more than that as Tarzan goes for a bit of an invade. Story time can wait, Dagda. The book closes.
I'm sorry, I was asking for it.
It's okay. I've got a blanket for you. Chill for the time being, or rather stay cozy. Ward for ward, spotted out. Weibo back away.
Yeah, APA just going to hug this top side because he knows Weibo could potentially make a move in. CoreJJ coming across, but it's still 3v2.
Okay. This tuna fish ready to throw an Apres in, I believe. Tarzan's just taking autos for the time being, using the range is good with Airy, but Smite comes down. Again, Tarzan just looking for the small raptors. It's Chaos already. Chaos incarnate as Light and Chris now have to go away. Tarzan flashed out and abandoned them. Chris is in trouble. Ren to slow down. They're coming back in as Tarzan's like, okay, let's go round number 2. Good shielding from Chris. TL, if you chase this up, it could be bad with Xiaohu. A lot of summoners burned, no first blood.
So I don't think Tarzan actually got the big raptor in the smite because he would have ticked over to level 2. So
I thought he would.
Yeah, so he meant that I think it was stolen away by Yeon or maybe CoreJJ who were able to get an auto attack on it. So that's why that play suddenly looked very funky. Flash burnt by Tarzan to try and get away, and he's going to be low, moving through his jungle. UmTi kind of similar, but it means we're a bit more even Steven on the experience bars as we start to transition forward.
We know what Steven would say. He'd say he'd be going towards the top side right now.
Classic
UmTi,
Steven.
You know, it's story time again. Dagda, you got your blanket? Okay, yeah, you do.
Got my milk,
so
ready to go.
Light has been having, I think, quite an exceptional year. I think this split in particular has been really solid. Coming into this tournament, I think Light is one of the best LPL AD carries. I think people are going to underrate him because of who he is. As good engage here from Breathe onto Impact. Wait, maybe I should have been talking about this top lane. He autos a minion, but he's got range. 1, 2, flash for 3! Almost. Impact gets out of the way. Breathe tried to predict and get that boomerang.
That was so close, especially with the grass proc starting to come through as well. That would have been it for Impact, but the flash away just about saves him. I'm shocked that Breathe already managed to get that kill this early, but that only sets up potential playing towards the top side. Wave hasn't been crashed.
They're gonna
Does UmTi just run top? I think they're just trying to put pressure.
Okay, well, CoreJJ takes 2 turrets for that set pressure as well. Light is just looking to get to level 2, and with, I believe, this next minion falling down, he should find it, and he does indeed. Look at where Tarzan is, the level 3 Scorpion King, trying to make use of this push-on wave that TL are still shepherding in.
Yeah, TL just constantly keeping up the pressure. You have to be a little bit careful because Tarzan can come down to the spot side, and I think that's what Weibo are kind of waiting for, is the level 2s, level 3s to match, and then they can go for it. Tarzan just ticked over with the, just picked up the Scuttle Crab there.
Yep.
Trying to move in behind, it looks like TL on this bottom side.
It's great that you pulled up the laning stats. Good laning so far, but UmTi's coming in to interrupt. That upper is low, but he has a mana bar. Xiaohu with nothing to spare, and even though he's used the cookie up, he tries to get onto APA, and UmTi just stops him in play. Permafrost is there, and first blood goes over to TL. Meanwhile, on the backside, or bottom rather, Weibo are getting flashes, but maybe kills. Yeon away, it's a flash rend. I talked him up for a reason, and Weibo see the light.
Just about able to get the kill there, but in the mid lane, Xiaohu falling, doesn't respect the potential play from UmTi, and APA off to a nice start now as he'll be able to crash that wave, reset, and get back some of that health bar that Xiaohu was putting pressure on him with.
The wave pushing in is bad news bears for Yeon though, Dagda. He's coming in slow as I think bad news bears should be topside. Story time has ended again because Breathe has closed the book on this matchup.
Impact was the best top laner in the LCS this year, but Breathe is making him look like it's nothing. Absolutely destroying him on the
He's spouted as the worst top laner coming from LPL, by the way. He has got the most criticism out of anyone on this roster because of how he has been struggling to either play weak side or play with this new advanced Weibo. That's huge, that's massive. Not only the attempted solo kill before, but Dagda, the fact that it came through, he's now got a kill on Tabis.
And he's now got the pressure that he wants in that top side where he can, even not if he gets kills, just get plates and set up so nicely for that Gnar to just take over in the side lane. TL need to get something to try and fix this, and a lot of that will be on UmTi, but as we said, Weibo are putting pressure through that bottom side, and if you're not here to band-aid what's going to be Tarzan continuously focusing this bottom side, I think it's only going to get worse.
Light and Chris got a wave pushing again, so Tarzan has options there, but topside clear needs to come first as UmTi is clearing away on his Krugs, and then his camps are done until the respawn rotation. Dragon sitting up, and it is a mountain dragon to open us up, so it's going to give some bonus stats, but remember, Grubs could just be a handshake deal here, as TL seems the bottom side is where they start their play.
Yeah, I think you're going to be okay here as Weibo. There's not really any dive potential to really come through here. And Tarzan should just be able to move over towards the grub, so it's more likely it's just going to be a dragon trade. Yeah, there you go for TL, than any sort of real threat on the bottom side. It is a big wave though, so you can see them playing a little sus, but I think they're okay.
Curious about the CS after this wave pushes in. Weibo again, as we said, trading sides of the map. Breathe, of course, naturally having so much pressure thanks to earlier shenanigans. Means that Tarzan gets all 3. So I'm looking at EXP bars alongside with these trades. Dagda, both junglers just ticked over to 5. UmTi, as he gets this dragon, will get a little bit of a boost, as well as APA going to get shockwaved on the spot. Tarzan's now running in, and he's caught up against the wall. As he gets thrown a rock, Tarzan takes him down. And again, APA getting thrown down in the early game.
Man, Tarzan, when he's on form, is terrifying. UmTi, don't do it.
Well, Skarner has got a lot of base damage. Look at that. Stuns in play. UmTi has now got the bottom lane walking to his position. Flash from Chris looking for the handshake. A rock to be thrown. He gets out, but Weibo now control his bot side fully.
And you can just continue to put pressure on towards the bottom lane. The wave is pushing away from Yeon, so not in the best of spots, and Tarzan's here.
Here he comes again. Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Paused by a bubble. Now for Chris, setting up for the hook, and rather the handshake back is good, but out of range. Under turret, Light will not follow that play.
No, doesn't want to try and go too aggressive, but still, this should net at least the turret plane, and Tarzan still considering it, spotted out by TL.
He lives here. But Dagda, help! Our jungler has to go top. He's got to clear. I'm speaking of the perspective of TL's bottom lane right now. Tarzan follows up, enables Weibo to get this push in again, gets some damage down thanks to the 3 grubs. And Light and Crisp, you look at that CS, yes, they're down a little bit, but with the kill, they're still up in goal.
And I do want to continue on with your story, because for Light,
okay, I'll sit down.
He was absolutely fantastic in the LPL, and I think if you didn't watch the LPL, you're probably not going to realize just how good this guy was for Weibo. A lot of people look at it and go, oh, well, we lost Ruler because Weibo beat out JDG, but Light has been such an incredible carry for this squad, stepping up across multiple different picks. And it's great to see him getting his opportunity to really shine on this main stage, because this guy is one of the top AD carries in the LPL, a region that is stacked for LPL, or for AD carry talent. And to now show us, with the help from Tarzan and co, he should be in a decent spot now to start trying to take over this game.
He's always that AD carry that, like, hits consistent marks, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the best part about him, and the best part about him at last year's Worlds as well. You know what you're going to get from him. He can have high highs, but you know that bare minimum, what you're going to get, I think, is the baseline I'm trying to hit at. Look, Xiaohu's kind of like that as well. It's what makes Weibo special. Last year was such a crazy run. Dagger, if they can do it again this year, I don't know what to say. Like, if Weibo does something similar again, which LPL fans think they can do. They think they're the 3rd best team naturally since, again, they smoothed out LNG in playoffs. They got to finals against BLG, showed us a little in a 3-1 fashion. Against them, of course. They've got a lot of skill, and they've got a lot of individual players, and it's what makes this roster so special.
Yeah, I think it's also like Xiaohu's start of the year was not good.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact he came back in summer and really started bringing it together, obviously fitting onto the AD carry picks well when he won MSI, playing Lucian top lane for the majority of the tournament. Like, it was kind of in his wheelhouse. So
crazy that he won MSI as a top laner.
2 different roles.
And then it was a year after, a year before he won as a mid laner.
Yeah.
Like, it's
2018 RNG, 2021 RNG.
Multiple years.
Crazy.
I mean, got 3 titles for the Legend. As now for TL, they're trying to set themselves up a dive, but Breathe is here. Teleport helps out as well. Xiaohu has joined in the fray, and UmTi's running. But Crisp is here on a ward. They might turn this into a play if they can get a scatter the weekend. Crisp now with nowhere to go, in with the ulti up. Aqua Present perfect, and APA positioning great to get his first kill of this game.
Really good pick from TL, and this is what we're talking about, like turning those moments to find picks for TL has been crucial to their success, and just a good read, finding Crisp out of position, having that vision already down, Impact TP him back to the wave because he was zoned off by Tarzan, so making sure he's able to pick up this wave and get some damage onto Light, but won't get the kill.
Gets away, Ren slows him down, but Light just gets some damage down as Tarzan turns this into a dive. Against the wall, there's good damage from the Skarner, and Impale as well brings Light in to get some more, but again, Light's a little bit low, Impact survives, and using Tarzan's ulti is a bit of pressure off the map.
It did look very funky, but Impact just drew out Light's cleanse, his health bar, the ult from Tarzan, damage onto Tarzan, and right as the second round of Void Grub spawns. So TL should be in a position now to contest this. They are a little late though, so it looks like they may not be able to get there, but it was a nice thought process from Impact to say, hey, look, I can get so much out of this play for just my ultimate.
It's a shame TL aren't there, but as you said as well, I mean, Impact also with a lower health bar, and health bar that matters here as Xiaohu zones off UmTi, and Crisp is the target again, but Tarzan already has 4 grubs. He gets a 5th, and guess he can just leave now. UmTi tries to stop him, but he's away. 5 grubs, 1 over to TL, as Breeze is managing sideways just fine, by the way.
You're immediately getting value as Weibo. It's like, oh, I'm just getting more and more damage as I progressively work my way through this tower. That's not how this is supposed to work for Breeze, but he's in a good spot now. Almost a 900 gold lead for him. He's going to reset, finish his first item, I'd imagine. No, just short. But still, he's going to be fine now, start pushing out on the map and really taking the hurt to Team Liquid, because any sort of side lane that he shows up on, no one can really contest them. APA, vulnerable on the side lane. Their impact is very far behind. And that just opens up so many windows for Weibo to play at the map stage.
It's not often this year that have been, or especially this split, that have been like, man, Breathe is just going to carry this team. And having this as an experience is great, especially when we hyped up Impact. We talked about his ability to soak pressure. Azale yesterday even saying he's such a selfless player, and he can also be someone who can demand resources and carry the team. But in this game, the Renekton, while he has soaked, right now he's not able to carry too much without his first item. But let's find out if what I'm saying is true. Dagda, second dragon spawning, or rather sitting there and waiting.
Yeah, and this is where I think Yeon and CoreJJ need to try and fill the gap, because APA can try and set them up, but it's Yeon who has to try and knock them down. The problem is that he's been focused so much by Tarzan that he's now behind, and it makes it very, very difficult for them to actually play off of this mid state in the same way they'd like to, because UmTi has to try and fix side lanes.
Stacked. Tarzan getting engaged on. He's got a heart steal now, so every auto attack matters if he can stay in combat. For TL, they're getting pinched out a bit here. Weibo moving into position. Xiaohu has himself his ulti available. Mana is a little bit low, especially without a tier, so as he walks on in, you just have to keep an eye on that mana bar. They're very hungry for the second dragon, TL.
TL are playing this nicely, though. Like, Yeon pressuring mid lane, drawing Xiaohu back, now opens up for the 3-man to start to put pressure on towards the bottom side of the map where TL have the 4-man advantage. So they're playing this nice and slow and patient, but now the tower may be going down as a result, but no pressure from them.
Demolish from Crisp helps out on that. TL going to start the dragon. Nonetheless, though, on a ward is CoreJJ as Xiaohu moves into position, but teleport from Weibo. They're committing and Breathe, the strong member of the team, is walking in. It's a double TP as now the Skarner engages, halted by UmTi. Good Glacial Prison as his damage being absorbed, but Tarzan takes a tidal wave while Xiaohu on the back end is dealing with APA. A great ulti from Crisp. He makes him go berserk. Light sends him in and Crisp tries to Q flash. He gets orbed, decepted, bailed out, but he's dead. Dragon goes over to Weibo, and I cannot believe Crisp just goes, yep, I'll try and 1v3, and now Xiaohu doing the same. He has to flash away, get out of there, while this Renekton is dealing with the whole backline of Weibo. Impact strong enough, I eat my words. TL running them down. All the cost of Dragon, they get a couple of big kills.
I take it back, it's Weibo who sets them up, and Yeon knocks them down. 2 kills for the Lucian off the back of that, and it's Weibo making mechanical errors on the play. Crisp goes in way too aggressive on this setup. Yeah, and look, Tarzan ends up getting knocked up by a huge amount there, absorbing a ton of pressure, but it's a good ultimate to begin with, where you end up with this back and forth. Light tries to go forward here with Crisp, but where's your follow-up? Like, this is a Orianna with 0 mana, and Renata with no damage to try and get this bailout, and Tarzan and Breathe were in the Dragon Pit. And then just again, APA, great stun onto Xiaohu, finish him off as well here.
I think Chris thought he was the Drift King or something. Like, he tried to Q fade away. I mean, yeah, that's also a bit of a claim. Yeah, should we have done that?
Yeah,
probably not. But TL, a couple of big picks. I mean, for the cost of Dragon, you take that, and with the way the early game was going, it mitigates some of the pressure, it mitigates some of the gold, and I look at who the kills went over to. Yeon has got some in his pocket now. With the Essence Reaver, Lucian. MasterCard, show us what you got. That's what we expected. Top has a lead, but at least it's less than before, I feel.
Well, I was going to say, like, the fact that Yeon isn't as far behind as he was is pretty crucial. Because again, like, this Lucian wants to be able to try and play off of mid-wave, look for a lot of these plays. Going to be in a difficult spot to do so right now because that contest is coming through, but UmTi looks mid.
APS spots out a good pick onto Crisp. He's dead again. 3 kills. Or deaths rather onto Crisp. As big as now the teleport. TL can feel a good scout of the week. The Herald goes down, but Weibo in trouble again. A tidal wave buffered by Tarzan, running for his life as Impact chases the backline. UmTi's there as well. Permafrost is perfect. Weibo are in so much doo-doo. Now with TL chasing under turret, they're going to find 1, 2, almost 3. Breathe survives only by a hair's breadth as UmTi takes another charge. Xiaohu gets some good damage at range, but he's in trouble too. Impact tanks up. APA targeting point. Scout of the week doesn't work. Bree survives for a bit, but Xiaohu's got nowhere to go. Impact dies in the end, but TL wipe them clean.
TL destroy Weibo Gaming on the play. Great ult from UmTi into the mid lane, catching out Light and Crisp. Immediate turnover towards the pit to turn on towards the key members of Weibo who were stuck there. That was beautiful from the North American representative.
Slowly but surely picking apart, separating Weibo, and while Light gets himself a mid turret, we look back at this play that gave so much gold off these individual kills.
And it's such a great read. Impact the immediate TP, and look at the patience. The stun, follow-up stun. And then Yeon still doesn't open up with the culling here because he knows he just wants to try and finish off Tarzan. And it means that as you start to move underneath the turret, Breed's already incredibly low, and there's just so little that you can do here. And I love this from Yeon as well. He's got his priorities straight. Walk past Xiaohu. You're not a threat right now, Orianna. I need to finish off Breed, then turn over and finish off. And Impact gives his life, but do you know what? Look at that smile. He doesn't mind that at all.
I think there was a word in there that we will not be saying, but obviously elation after the early game. As I said, 4 kills now on Yeon. Rapid fire cannon, and that is a very fed Lucian. So it's all going a bit pear-shaped for Weibo here as they try to make a play on this mid push.
Still though, I like this patience from TL. They're not overextending on mid wave. They're like, we don't know where the members of Weibo are. Breed's missing, mid jungle's missing. Just wait for them to show on waves and then we can actually try and set up something up. So TL, that patience pays off with that bot lane turret. And now they can try and continue forward because this was the dominant team in the LCS for so much of this split. FlyQuest with a surprise win essentially over them, but TL have been the team, the most improved mid laner, best bot lane, best top lane, and now they're taking it to Weibo Game.
And they're really getting scrappy with it as well, Weibo. They're desperate here because after yesterday's almost win, after coming so close against Gen G, if they lose this game to TL, they're in so much trouble. Back to back to back as Yeon has to flash away, and it's set with a backup from Tarzan. He wish he could go back as Breeze TP is too late. Hostile takeover from Chris. 3-man shockwave. Weibo found the dream fight. Bailed out as Breeze is separated. APA scat of the week as a triple is there. I'm looking at a Syndra, looking at pad the stats. Breeze getting hit. He's slowed down, but he's still alive at full HP. His impact is a real threat. Boomerang thrown out. APA has arrived, and he's finally informed as TL win another fight.
It's APA Syndra is scattering the weak of Weibo, stopping them in their tracks. The damage isn't there from Xiaohu, who gets a great shockwave, but it's Team Liquid again coming out on top. And you'll see as we start to go into this, the fight was very, very close to start with. Tarzan tries to get access towards Yeon, but just able to escape away. The wave from CoreJJ is crucial, not only to buy space for Yeon, but also to get that kill onto Light with APA in a perfect position. And then the shockwave sure hits, but Orianna on one item just doesn't do enough.
True.
And then again, another great scat of the week from APA. Keeps Breathe at bay, he turns to Mini, they follow up, and it's mid lane again once more.
It is carnage from Weibo. Even though, as you said, they find the dream fight, they find the dream setup. Almost like a Flowers moment, right? But there's not enough damage from Xiaohu. As now TL, they're putting Weibo on the back end. Breathe is going to get ganked here by a 3-man. He hops over. Impact is tanking up Tara Dagger. He's about to go Mega Nut. Wait, TL, are they going too far? No! Unleashing hell upon the top laner of Weibo is APA's job.
They will just back away though. Weibo started to collapse onto the top side, but it's mid lane that Weibo needs to be worried about because Yeon is still knocking on that tower. Rapid fire cannon going to start to chip away at that structure every time. Dragon up and available for them as well. TL, the map belongs to them right now.
You know what I was saying before, Dagdo, just before the fight, how important this game is, because the loser of this goes to 0-2. The loser then has to win 3 best-of-3s in a row to make it to the top 8 stage, to the knockout stage. It is in such a bad position to start your Swiss on, and right now TL don't want to be there as an Aqua Prison starts us off. Tarzan's trying to roll in again. APA looks for Scat of the Week, doesn't find it. TL are running towards this dragon side of the map.
At some stage, Weibo have to realize this tactic isn't going to work, because every time they've gone for it, TL have responded.
But that's Weibo. They do the same thing 5 times in a row. Is this TP flank? Is it going to be found? Yes. Is it going to be punished? I don't know. Xiaohu is going to be engaged on, and the answer is no. Running into this mid lane of the Berserks there. The flash shockwave is out as well. Chris goes on in, but he's knocked by a tidal wave. TL has separated away. Impale was garbage from Tarzan, but TL, regardless, are still alive as a 5-man unit. Weibo think, is Baron too crazy right now?
They're still so low though. TL want to try and step up. Yeon and CoreJJ feeling it right now. They know just a couple of taps could turn it, but everyone backs away. No one goes down.
Because we have to do it again. 2 minutes, let's reset and do it once more. Dagda, let's answer your question. Will Weibo make the same play? Just another 5v5 again.
But this is the thing. TL, every time I've won out, it's been kills the last 2 times. This time, yes, you got TP from Impact and the flash, but it's Dragon now for TL. They are continuously making these plays work, but Weibo maybe looking to try and sneak a Baron here. They got one snuck away from them by Gen G yesterday. Maybe learning from it.
Let's fight around mid again. This time, right?
Yeon's resetting though. APA needs to be so careful.
Damage though onto Xiaohu, and that's meaningful at the very least. You're right. They don't know that Yeon's gone. They just think Fog of War is big. Look at the wards as well for Weibo around Baron.
There's just so much, but it amounts to nothing. TL still growing these minute leads consistently, and it's going to start to come back against Weibo.
Yep. And
what an incredible moment this would be for the LCS as well, being able to not only put themselves up into that 1-1 bracket, but also just taking down the LPL 4th seed would give them so much confidence going forward.
I mean, their ability to scrap against this team has been so impressive as well. Like, I know I use the term hand stiff a lot, but it does truly feel like some of the individual skill and mechanics that has come from APA in this game, from Yeon and CoreJJ especially, has been clutch.
But it's also the hard work of this organization. Spawn behind the scenes. APA has been working nose to the grindstone for so long, and the rest of this team as well, like Yeon really stepping up from this time last year where we saw him at the world stage. TL, this is a work ethic that is starting to see success on the international stage, as long as they can keep this lead and keep this pressure on towards Weibo.
Long may they reign as they continue to siege through mid turret at 23 minutes in the game. They just want to open up the map, Dagda. We've been sitting mid, we've been A-ramming for quite a lot of this game. Sidewave's now getting a bit more attention as Breathe moves back. Remember, this Weibo member still has a massive gold lead against Impact, just hasn't been seen in a full-out 5v5 with him getting a dream engage.
And we said already that it was TL that denied Weibo that moving forward in 2021, and then you're looking for Light to try and deny him once more.
Dagda, it opens up mid, and that's the very least. Even though it misses, UmTi enables the pressure so that Yeon gets a turret eventually. It's finally gone.
But I mean, look at the goat at the bottom of your screens, right? Look, Breathe is still a menace, right? But hasn't had that impact. Impact has had more of an impact.
You are a funny man. Well, Impact gets the stun, and Breathe stops him breathing. See, I can be funny too, but APA walking in stops this choke in its thresholders. Looks for Scatter the Weak. Breathe by space. Look at what Weibo doing. They're pinging onto the Baron. They're like, can we do this? Nah, we're going to fight mid. Breathe is going to die though.
But that's the thing. I don't think Breathe planned ahead here, and now you've got the positioning for TL to keep pushing on towards this bottom side, threaten elsewhere. Breathe, does he get the execute though?
Maybe he does. At the very least, he's kept the wave.
Excuse me, sir.
He backed away, and the kill goes over. Weibo didn't start the Baron. So TL just have a flat-out lead for 40 seconds.
And what do they want to try and achieve with this? Waves in the side, not the best for them, so threatening tier 2 is going to be a little tough. I think it is just going to be a case of getting vision in towards the enemy jungle and around Baron, and then looking for a reset before Breathe is back on the map.
Like we said, you know, our first 3 games were wild. Like, I knew this was going to be a wild one as well, regardless, like, of TL doing so well. I knew it was going to be wild. And I knew that Weibo, there's going to be some time in this tournament, one time or another, where Weibo just keep throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Classic. It's like similar from last year, just different players. I mean, you add the Shy to this roster, the game would be going the exact same. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Right? So, yeah.
You throw Weibo into it, same.
But I think that's it. It's like, at the core, it's still Weibo. And they still need to try and find some way to get back into this. But for TL, this is where their comfort zone is. Using these early leads, starting to fish for picks, starting to fish for plays, and a lot of that again coming off the back of like APA, who's just been such a, not only a monster for this squad, but in this game as well. I'm just sad we don't have access to like all chat to see exactly what APA has been saying, but my God, like 6 kills on the Syndra, the potential burst power on essentially anyone apart from like a Gnar or the Skarner is going to be sky high, and Breathe might find out about it.
He's halfway through Gnar as well. Now spotted on a ward. Breathe is consistently getting attention in this side lane, but I don't know where he is for the time being. Breathe walks it out. UmTi can't finish the play.
But it's still denying access from Breathe to this bot side, and that's really what TL wanted, because Dragon in 45 seconds, they're putting pressure on towards the tier 2s, but it's only to buy space for vision, buy space for a potential TP flank for impact. This is perfect map play for TL on this objective.
Consistently choking them out. I like it. It's 30 seconds till the Dragon that will lead them to Soul Point. The game state slowed down, obviously, with TL holding so much control. We talked about how important the mid-game is, but if Weibo walk into another fight, think of those Syndra items and the damage that comes from Yeon as well with a support like this. UmTi helps them channel through mid. Weibo zoned out.
It's great patience. Like, he's not throwing the ultimate, just using that as threat to get access to that mid-tier 2, which TL now just back away from. They're not ever over-threatening. They are playing this slow and calculated, and just never giving an opportunity for Weibo to come back like LNG did yesterday.
Top of the Baron ward spots. Tarzan doesn't start it off, and there's no opportunity here. I mean, TL just have mid.
Beautiful.
Okay, we see you over Baron. Where are you going? Doesn't matter. We get mid.
And now they get control of this top side as well. So Dragon is up and available, but I think they're just worried about Weibo trying to threaten the quick Baron. They don't do a particularly quick Baron, but just in case something's going on. And you can see now with control over the mid wave and a little bit more vision, they're just going to teeter on down towards the Dragon.
Weibo hover in case there's a mistake, in case there's an overstep, but there is none. As Dag just said, they're dotting everything in perfect fashion. On a ward, Xiaohu spotted, they clear Baron, they see another control ward, Xiaohu clears it out, Impact's moving in. I think the Baron has begun. Weibo are like, we got to do this now.
Yeah, but look, you had a reset from CoreJJ. He won't be here for a little bit. TP out, Breathe on the side, but he's nowhere near Gnar. This is risky from Weibo.
They've got a Kalista, so they think they have the smite advantage, but UmTi's walked in first. Tarzan on the back of the pit. The ulti connects, and Light has to cleanse away. A good little grab back as UmTi gets zoned out and hit hard. Tarzan's still in the pit. He's not stopping to leash this Baron.
Well, you can't. It's too low. You have to commit to this either way, or else TL just walk into the pit and say thank you for the leash.
But he's getting debuffed. He's getting damage. It's still going up. Electric feels Baron as he pulsates for a bit and now goes up to max health.
And the entire time UmTi's been tanking this, he's getting heals from CoreJJ, so Weibo getting the advantage through that, and Crisp!
Caught out, he went in deep in enemy jungle. Fate's call all sealed. I think it's going to be called this time. He's not dead.
Still though, TL starting to press forward. They are on the mid wave, so Tarzan has to do something.
Tidal wave used. Tarzan not dead. He gets an impale. It's a great little ulti sent out by Crisp, and the jungler is getting rammed up against the wall. UmTi almost dies. He flashes away. Impact is now here. He wants to ult. He slices, but no dicing. TL pull away. They do not overstep their mark in the enemy jungle.
That was heartbreaking. Yeon just got clipped by the edge of Crisp's hostile takeover, which meant that he wasn't able to follow up there. Focus down from Weibo on towards the TL jungler means that this play fizzles, but risky call from Weibo. But in the end of the day, they do get the TP out, and they also get the flash from UmTi, so summoner spell advantage for the LPL 4th seed.
And look what was used. Tidal wave was used on a bit of a cooldown, but Fate's call is down. Crisp doesn't have that hostile takeover. Dagda impales down as well. Dragon's still up sitting there. That's Soul Point. Forget it. Baron, says Weibo.
But again, TL have access to the mid wave, so Weibo have to come back to answer as soon as this gets pushed in, which then just gives TL that space again that they need. APA doing a good job of threatening this choke point, so you can't really go for Tarzan. Could come over the wall. TL starting to collapse around APA to make sure nothing happens.
Thinks about that angle. Too far away, he zones himself out, or rather puts himself into a better position. Gnar is going to expire from Breed. APA going towards the rest of his team, which is at this Dragon, and Weibo still on the defensive here. This game no decider yet, but again, TL still using that gold advantage, that heavy Syndra that they've got to try and get some range.
But that's all the TL needed. They got the mid control, they forced Weibo back, they turn over towards Dragon. It was a lot of jostling for that mid position, but eventually Weibo's able to go for it. And now, well, Weibo want to start that jostle again as they've moved in towards Baron area once more. I don't think they can just go for this though, especially with Xiaohu kind of desynced from them here.
But they will. They will, or they'll look for another pick. I mean, Weibo's options seem limited as Tarzan wants to find impact. Doesn't go for the play. Light as well, not going to throw Crisp this time around, so they just clear the wave. They continue to stick around the top side while TL are moving into position.
Tarzan has to get out of here. There's the TP, but TL are collapsing.
They're like, we're turning. Impact flashes away, but he's up and now against the wall. He's going to be queued back as UmTi throws the ulti. Tidal wave is good as well. Hits everyone, but a bailout and a takeover. It's a Weibo fight all of a sudden. Set up by Chris, knocked down by Tarzan, hit away by Light. TL are in their own side of the jungle, and Breathe is running out of Gnar. Numbers advantage? What does it all mean?
Yeon is trying desperately to be the difference maker here, though. Wants to get into the backline of Weibo, but can't really do it. APA going to steal away the blue buff to keep this one going.
Oh, he almost smited it, as you said. Breed is going to get top lane turret in the meantime. Xiaohu threatens with the shockwave unused. Dagda, they're in a choke. Xiaohu sends the ball out. TL are still hovering around Baron.
TL are trying to deny Weibo the Baron, but no TP on Impact. This is still a 4v5. Xiaohu, flash, potential shockwave on the cards, but it's spotted by APA.
Tarzan's back in that same position, right behind Baron where he was before, and Weibo double, triple, quadruple down, and Xiaohu almost gets hit into the ground, but Breathe flashes on. APA almost had it, unleashes nothing. An Impale in the back as Tarzan finds the enemy jungler, and Weibo are using their hands again. No heads, only hearts. A team fight from hell for Team Liquid as Weibo knocked down all the pins.
And the LCS lets out a collective sigh. It looks so good. TL were so patient, but one play goes completely awry, and Weibo see their opportunity.
They have been living top rent-free for about 6 months now. The landlord has to kick them out, Dagda, but their defense is airtight. This team just sits around the same area, go again and again and again until TL let up and make a mistake.
And it was just so small. They thought maybe they could make it happen with the collapse, but Crisp's hostile takeovers have been clutch this game and are making it impossible for LCS to play the game that they want.
I mean, TL, a team that, you know, a lot of people said this is the team that can finally do it. They can get out of play-ins, not play-ins, excuse me, Swiss. They can get out of Swiss stage. But now they're looking down the barrel of a 0-2 just as we're praising them, and then it came this fight.
But they've been so close. They've been so close every time, and it's just these small fights. Yeon just getting hit there by Crisp on the face call, making sure that he can't follow up. Light being able to chase people down. But it's the play before this, and it is heartbreaking because the only thing that TL have shown,
oh my God,
well, is a bit of frustration, but have shown that they do belong. They are a really, really good team. They've gone toe-to-toe with 2 of the LPL top seeds now. And it's been just small mistakes that have come back to bite them. But it's been so close to TL taking it. Now, this game isn't over. TL still have a chance.
But you can see the frustration in a game that feels like it could be over, could lead to a 1-1. I mean, Spawn smashing that bottle because he's like, he can see how this game is so winnable. APA in such a good position, but he's picked apart. The shockwave clips him at the end after a good scout of the week. They were separated. They went on different targets, and Weibo picked them apart bit by bit by bit.
This is starting to get tough, though, because the shockwaves are going to start to hit now from Xiaohu, and if TL ever get caught by Breathe into that combo, it is lights out. And it may be lights out for the base as Weibo go for the siege.
They're engaged. Their front line has 4k HP. Tarzan is not getting hurt like he used to. A glacial prison sent awry. Nothing happens as the Fate's call sent in. Chris does it again. He gets a pullback, a good tidal wave, but we're taking over. Only onto 1 in the backside. It zones off while the inhibitor goes down, and Weibo have broken the base. Impact has done the same. To his credit, he has broken Weibo and given a trade.
And you have no real engage here, so Weibo can just get chased down. Potential just to stop those resets not going to come through, but Impact going to back away. The Baron buff recall is going to be too much, so he won't be able to get the inhibitor, but the trade was still attempted by TL.
At least mid is open. At least there's an option to get inhibitor, add some pressure. Dagda, I would like you to tell the audience what you're pointing towards.
30 seconds until that's solved for TL.
Oh, yeah.
This could be the moment where they bring it back. One good fight could be it, and they are out on the map first, getting control over that mid wave. UmTi gonna look for the reset, but they need this. They need some way to get into this fight. Super minions on the bottom side, though, keeping Impact pushed in, and maybe even an opportunity for Weibo to look for a collapse onto that bottom side. They're matching the mid push as TL go for a bit of a late reset. Looks like they're not interested in the dragon. They just want to try and get control back on the map.
I'm looking at a scat of the week from the gods. I'm looking at APA finding a pick. I'm looking at that glacial prison. So many tools that can be set up to find a pick onto Weibo. On the other side, the shockwaves have been decent enough. Whether they're 1 or 2 targets, they clean up, they disrupt. I haven't seen a massive breathe ulti, but nor have I had to. He auto-attacks down, he does enough damage, he's a pain. Dagda, Dragon denied, as you said. We set up now for the Baron in 2 minutes 30. Maybe that's the team fight that TL can try and find.
And there is also, again, just to keep your eyes on the ward back here, that hasn't been spotted, a potential for impact, but it may not be the case right now.
Crisp trying.
Weibo step up.
I mean, might not be over an objective. They might try and just end it with a massive team fight. Tarzan plays around Scatter the Weak. APA sends it out as Weibo have full control of mid and threaten TL away from their own side of the jungle.
Breathe doesn't have Mega Gnar, so I think this is more of a bluff from Weibo to just try and buy space on the wave and see if they can keep TL back on their own side of the map. Getting this full top side away from UmTi is going to be very nice. As you can see, UmTi spots out the Tarzan, has already stolen everything away from him.
It's gone. If he walks in here, he will get hand shook. UmTi will get caught. He knows he has to be careful. Range damage from Breathe, who now goes Mega. Yeon able to accept the wave with the team at his back. Nothing up for a minute 45.
Impact still getting push on sides though, so you are creating space in the map bit by bit, despite the fact you're losing it.
He's on a ward, he's on a ward, he's on a ward, he's on a ward, he's on a ward. His whole team backed. Handshake the air. Okay, no deal. UmTi's okay.
Still just going to stand here, try and hold his ground. Weibo fishing for anything, but again, I think this is going to come down to Baron in a minute and a half, when there is a real objective on the map that TL are kind of forced to play their hand. But Weibo, this slow push into vision is basically what TL were doing to them. We just have to see if there is a moment now where TL can find their spot. CoreJJ, this is dangerous, but he's just going to be able to get some vision down that's immediately cleared out.
Yeon and CoreJJ, as they step up, they'll see Breathe is looking for an angle. They've walked maybe too far. Fate's Call is going to get the flash from Yeon. He was almost caught unawares. Now that summoner's down. Weibo have 50 seconds and no flash from Lucian. Hurts a bit.
Also, no cleanse. He opted in towards the barrier. So now if Crisp ends up throwing out that ultimate, Yeon doesn't have the option to try and flash over or even get away from Breathe potentially flashing on him. So this team fight for TL just got so much more difficult.
In a choke as well. Weibo know they had mid priority because TL grouped up around that wall. There's another one spotting them all moving down. Mid could be a freebie with a wave, but instead they look for the choke fight once again. Breathe about to go into Mega, or at least halfway there. Flash from Tarzan. Wants a pick onto APA, a tidal wave in the choke. Weibo trying to seal the deal right now, but TL gets away. But the wave is finally there for Weibo.
The chaos from CoreJJ coming in clutch to keep Yeon out of that hostile takeover, but mid-tower will still fall as Impact rejoins his team, Baron in their sights. A lot of ultimates used, both CoreJJ and UmTi down, plus Crisps.
Yep.
So Weibo going to fish for it. Ooh, Xiaohu.
Killing damage is good. Impact on the side, but he is spotted out again. UmTi on a different angle. Tarzan on a different plane. He pulls back. He's sent back, rather, by a good Scout of the Week. And they have healing TL, so they do get some damage onto Xiaohu, which means he has to back away. And he was on vision as he backed, but TP.
This is getting so dicey on either side. Neither one really wants to full commit because one mistake could cost them. But TL trying desperately to get people into position. Impact snuck his way up into that top side. I don't think he was spotted, and Weibo, I don't think, realized that the Croc is in behind them.
They don't. He's got a GA as well. He can be so much more aggressive. Teleport going to be started off. TL are putting it all on the line, so they don't have to start 0-2 in the Swiss stage. Breathe is zoning out. No Mega Gnar, but onto the Baron. They look for the turn light. Sets up with the Fate's Call. He flashes in to die! He's exploded. Breathe gets an ulti, though. A stun. A shockwave. They got the pick. TL opened up, but they're losing members. They're dropping heads. And Breathe is breaking in his heart again. We look towards this top laner with Asterix Gauge, with range on Tarzan. He sends UmTi away. Impact close to dying. The GA will give him time, but the team has left him, and TL still are going to drop 2 like flies. Impact's dead. Weibo with 4. It looked good as Light ran it in, but they still lose more.
Breathe having more consistent damage for Weibo was the difference maker there. Yeon played his heart out in that fight, ends up dashing away from the Mega Gnar ult from Breathe, but there's just too much CC with Xiaohu having that shockwave, and Weibo find the moment they need to pick the AD carry and get the Baron. Dragon in 20 seconds though, so Weibo will still need to try and contest this because Yeon will be back out on the map. And look at where APA is. He's trying to fish for people as they move forward.
He is, but Breathe, how unkillable is he? He's going into a Mega Gnar, knows someone is available, so he can't close the gap. As you said, the Dragon's so important. It would be a permanent buff. It would put TL into a different state of mind.
It's now up and available. Look at the resets from Weibo. They are rushing out onto the map, desperately trying to get back into position. But TL, if they can control the point, or put the opportunities could be there, but Impact 5 seconds away. He needs to TP into the fight, and Weibo, they get into River.
As you said, he's got options where to TP, nothing deep, but to the side he'll join his team. And a 5v5 Light now has GA, but Impact lost his.
Yeon's TP Flash is so close to being up and available, but it's going to be so late. Weibo started up. They want to punish.
Can you believe? Can you set yourselves up for success here? It's up to TL. Yeon gets poked out. He's frontlining for the time being. Tarzan at an angle. APA is trying to plan himself onto Breathe. A good scatter of the week. They send the ulti, but he hops over. He runs in. He ultis. You thought you could take him down. You lost your oxygen before you hit the damn ground. TL are in the pit. Impact tries to take the fight, but his GA was lost in the other. Weibo with a team fight. If you want to fight the LPL in a bloodbath, you're on their home ground.
But TL, they're not quite finished yet. They're still trying to see if they can find something. Yeon and resets coming through from CoreJJ. They want to defend the base. UmTi's trying to cut the wave. Xiaohu might find him.
But there's so much damage on this mid laner, and with Breathe in the mix as well, he'll do nothing of the sort. Now there's 3 dead. TL may start the ground running, but they are going to hit the floor dead.
Yeon takes so much damage. The culling was not enough. The structures are falling, and it's Weibo coming out on top.
I mean, this is a 4th seed of the LPL, but their resilience cannot be understated here. Weibo fight and fight and fight and fight again to find their first win of the Swiss stage and knock North America down.
It was a hard-fought victory for Weibo. Team Liquid so close at so many opportunities to winning out on that game, and you can see the heartbreak on their faces, but it will be the LPL who move forward.
Let's check on Raz. Let's just check on Raz. Is he okay?
Don't check on me.
Are you okay?
So sorry, bud.
Raz does not want to be checked on, boys. You're going to take this post game, okay?
Yeah, you got this.
You guys.
Send it right back to you guys.
Good job, TL.
I think it's safe to say, incredibly done by Weibo to weather the storm through a lot of that game, because TL kind of won, lost a little bit, started winning again, and then Weibo brought it home in the end when it really felt like they were in enough of a deficit, especially on Orianna, not to really be able to play that game for the vast majority, but then they found the angle, they found the fights, and that's really what it comes down to.
But I gotta say, I think TL as well, this tournament, I'm really happy with how proactive they are, but they're getting into this territory that we see with a lot of teams when they start being over proactive. They are at times their own worst enemy. I think there is times where they overforced a bit, APA flashing in on Xiaohu as well, dying afterwards, leading to them getting a Baron, because I actually think Core played out of his mind. I think this Nami was insane at setting up these objective fights we had. I think that TL for majority of the early game, well, not the early game, right? But when they started winning, they're actually hand-stiffing Weibo Gaming. And I was really impressed with the level of play that we saw from them. But then it starts going downhill.
It's like 14 minutes to 20. Back-to-back-to-back team fights where Team Liquid are coming up ahead. The first one around Dragon, I mean, I'm just like shooting from the heart. Where you're like, first one from Dragon, sure, Weibo made the mistake first where Chris just sent himself flying in, but I'm like, wait a minute, we're finding opportunities, and that's something that Team Liquid was usually great in domestically and finding. Being able to find a fight and then build off of it. And I had hope, we had hope. I know we had back-to-back games where you guys were heartbroken. I was laughing at you guys. Now I'm heartbroken, and you guys are consoling me.
Well, you want us to laugh at you?
Yeah.
That's what you want us to bully?
It made me feel a little better, I don't know.
Well,
by bullying you?
Because tit for tat.
Anyways, we can't get into the psychology of Raz right now, but I will say that credit to Weibo again for finding those fights. And TL,
I think even more importantly, credit to Chris, who went from just getting caught off guard to just mega finding the best Renata ultimates of his life into the Kalista ultimates afterwards. That was so many good team fights that came off the back of a hostile takeover.
Well, and what I will say is it's a back and forth story for both teams. The good news is both are going to have a lot to review in that one, but let's get a chance to talk to the winners in our Verizon post-game interview as Shox is standing by with the victorious, I can't tell who it is from my position, Tarzan.
I am here with Tarzan after Weibo get their first win of the World's Swiss stage. I have Wendy with me as well to make sure that we get everything correct. But congratulations, Tarzan. What a back and forth game. I want to know if you can tell me in your own words, what happened in that late game?
那首先恭喜你们取得了瑞士轮的首胜，但是不得不说，这是一场非常焦灼漫长的比赛。想问一下，在Tarzan选手的眼中，你们的后半，你们的这场比赛是个怎样的一个对局呢？
就是我们拖到后期的话，就我们肯定是前中期没做好吧，然后还是我们集中到后期就辛苦了，加油。
So I feels like why we be able to why we need to drag the game to the late game is because obviously we made some mistakes maybe in the early to mid phase, but after that we feels like what we really need to do is really concentrate more on the actual game. So I like to say to my teammates, yeah, it's a hard time, but let's keep going, fighting.
Yes, fighting indeed. Now, Tarzan, you joined Weibo in summer. How do you feel that your addition has changed the team, and how do you think you yourself have evolved by playing for Weibo now?
那其实Tarzan选手也是在夏季赛加入到微博这个大家庭当中，想要问一下，你可能在整个队伍当中发挥怎样的一个作用和贡献？同时加入到微博，自己有哪些个人的提升和进步呢？
我自己给微博帮助的话，就是前面更找机会吧。然后我进入微博之后的我自己的变化的话，就是大尼教练给我的习惯改了很好了，就。
So I think the part that I can really be so helpful to this whole WBG is I can help them maybe in the early game and to try to seek more opportunities to open the situation. And also after joining in WBG, I really feel with the help of our coach Danny, I can really have the very evolvement and also make so many growth.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations, Tarzan. Thank you so much, Wendy. And that is Weibo at 1-1.
Overall, solid game for Weibo. Rocky for both sides, as we already talked about. We can look back at kind of the story of this game. Back and forth.
That's a rocky one.
Most certainly, for both sides. And again, I think LPL fans and LCS fans alike are walking away from this one going, you know, a little bit of frustration because it's so close in some moments. Yes, Weibo got the win in a Worlds. That might be all that matters, but when you look ahead to future competition for both these lineups, you're like, we saw the good, we saw the bad, and sadly, we saw it all in one very stressful game.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't want the frustration to compile because there were a lot of good elements. Now, first, the level 1 was quite good for Team Liquid and allowed the Kalista honestly be useless. Like, was just under turret, constantly getting pushed in. The problems were the unforced errors. You were pointing it out during the game. The flashes that were not being burnt, some's not being burnt from both mid and bot lane, so they ended up dying to ganks pretty early on. And so I was like, okay, now we're just behind on tempo for a good chunk of the game.
But that's why you see, like, that's the early game you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
that's why we don't really like what we see here.
True.
But then here, that's the good area.
I'm liking
We're feeling
that part.
happy about this one, right?
This comes the other
15
part.
minutes onwards.
Before we get into our next game, before we had to break, let's get that first replay where Team Liquid really did. Yes, they started good. Yes, they threw some of their advantages away, but then they started to really bring it back.
Oh, this one was nice, just because they were able to get the pick on towards Crisp, and even though Herald was being done here, Weibo recognizes they need to back away. Team Liquid is able to just corral in here. So I really loved what CoreJJ and Impact were doing, just being able to chunk as much HP and chase him down.
And I really love the spacing in a fight like this. You can see that they're very patient with their abilities and the way they play it. The only one who's not fully patient is UmTi, who is kind of pressing a bit too far forward, but they have a clean dive afterwards without any casualties, and I think this is the moment where it kind of sways the tempo back in Team Liquid's favor, and it starts going really well for here, right? We go back to that goal graph we were talking about. It's just developing, it's looking good, you're happy about everything you see.
Yeah.
And then sadly, despite the fact that they catch the ball, they then drop the ball. And that brings us to, I think, probably the pivotal team fight in the context of this game. TL in a very commanding position, but obviously when you're against an Orianna, there is a bit of pressure to close out, pressure to get more done. And while this initially looks pretty positive, as Impact does manage to survive, in the extended fight, Weibo really take over.
Yeah, now if Renekton was able to get a slice and dice, of course he didn't able to get it through the minion. Maybe they could have extended it a little bit more. The Renata ulti was really valuable. That one actually, I forgot that existed. I was like, a Nami ulti came through. I was excited at that moment. They're playing off a 5v4. I was really happy here.
But this is the one. This is the one where I think you need to play this so much more patient if you're TL.
Yes.
APA does not need to flash forward like this. He still gets clipped by that shockwave, ends up going down. Massive Skarner ultimates afterwards, who just sets up the rest of Weibo Gaming. And Light, who's got this Renata W on him, can play however he wants. And I think this is the breaking point for Team Liquid.
Yeah, he saw the angle. He thought he could be able to loop in an ulti too and get the pick onto Orianna. But like the overall fight was looking decent from Team Liquid side before that play.
A lot of decent moments, a lot of opportunities. Game of pixels in some cases, in the case of that shockwave and that flash especially. Well played by TL, not enough to find that one. We're going to head to a quick break. When we return, T1 taking on the CB Law and Pain Gaming. Let's see how it shapes up.
Best of threes next. Threes.
And he's caught up against the wall as he gets thrown a rock. Tarzan takes him down.
I'm going to run out a little bit. Renata on flash. Renata on flash. Watching. Yeah, Renata on flash. I'm ulti. Nice job. Can anyone get the kill? Good. Oh, stick up to you guys. Don't put the flash. Yeah. Nice.
I mean, this is the fourth seed of the LPL, but their resilience cannot be understated here. Weibo fight and fight and fight and fight again.
在抵达那一刻之前，
你能做的只有等待。
如果故事再重来一次，我想 JK Live 还会做出相同的选择。
等待比分失衡，企图从中看清胜负的端倪。
等待一切安静，好听清自己脑海里的声音，直到抓住那一刻。
他们可能会因为激进而失误，但是不会因为胆怯而畏惧。